What's this? All right. Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Well, good morning. Good morning to anybody that's going to be watching this. It's another day of Morning Joe. And today, we're going to talk about how can we stop overthinking. It's what keeps us from becoming creative. Right now, I'm not overthinking. I'm just having this cup of coffee, and I'm getting ready for Thanksgiving. And if you are, I hope you are, just kind of remember what fucking gets what gets you going, right? So, I mean, overthinking is kind of like, you're trying to avoid being in exposing yourself to mistakes and letting other people know that you can make mistakes. It's a vulnerability that not everybody, not everybody can handle. And when you try to do it, it doesn't really work out. The more that you try to control, excuse me, the outcome is more than likely when you're gonna fail yourself in your expectations. So sometimes it's better to kind of like hang loose with some of the things that you are, because you're trying to be a perfectionist. You're trying to get everything right and perfect, and there is no such thing as perfect. So um, I don't know. How do you guys feel? Like, is that something that you struggle through? And what are some of those things that you could do to avoid overthinking? Me personally, what I try to do to avoid overthinking, one is to take a break, right? Do something that I enjoy. Maybe taking a walk. Uh, maybe an ice cold shower. Something that's just going to hit your senses in a different way. So this way, you're not focused on a lot of different areas of in your mind. Just now you're kind of like distracting yourself from being able to overthink. If that makes sense to anybody out there, but I think for me, at least, that's what I do to avoid it. And it could be for some people, it could be as simple as instead of reading a book, it could be going to have some exercise. We're working out. It could be cooking. It could be a lot of different things, but it's, you find what fits for you, right? Other things that, because it's one of the things that kills our momentum when we overthink, because we don't allow ourselves to make the mistakes so that we can see how we can progress into something else. And it's through the mistakes that we realize you get the aha moments. But you can't get the aha moment if you're constantly thinking that you have all the answers every time. It just doesn't clearly work like that. Otherwise, then we'd all be spot on all day, every day, right? So, just some food for thought, right? And even as you're, driving in or walking or teleporting or to work this morning, getting, you're out and about, you're thinking to yourself, what is the day gonna entail for me? What's today gonna be like for me? Am I gonna get a surprise call from somebody? Am I gonna get a surprise bill from something? Am I going to uh get into a nice conversation with a complete stranger? Who knows? Or maybe a great opportunity will come across your way, or maybe you'll lose one, right? But these things, that's the day to day of life. And now, I think what I really like is just kind of letting, you got to let these little things that happen around you kind of like inspire a new creative workflow for you, where you let yourself uh, be open to the universe and what is going to be fed to you. And you have to be receiving of it so that you could be in a mindset to notice, because things can happen around you all day every day, and then you could be sitting right next to somebody who's either going to inspire you, give you an opportunity, or you giving an opportunity to them and opening up their eyes into something that maybe they feel the way you do right now today. I mean, that's where connection comes in, and this is why we talk to each other as a community and society. We get out there. We don't live in a box, and we're not isolating ourselves in a forest in a little cabin somewhere in the woods. I mean, and sometimes I feel like that's where we live in sometimes because of everything that happens around us, all the noise. So we tend to shut it out, and then we're in our little box right next to each other in the train, during in traffic, in the car with your loved ones, because you're somewhere else to yourself, and that's a hindrance sometimes, man. Sometimes it's good to be by yourself, to you have some self reflection time, but when you find yourself in that rut stage, it's time to get active. It's time for you to get up and do something that's going to motivate you and give you that energy, and you know create the chemicals in your brain to ignite something in you, so that you can have that fire to kind of like push through today and do and knock out what you need to do, even if you hate it. The part of the project that you really get annoyed by or afraid of, you gotta get that energy so you could just tackle it head on. I tend to try to do that first. I try to do the thing that I hate and I do and like annoys me. I try to do it first, because if I can get through that, everything else will just be cake, and I'll enjoy, you know, it'll taper off to I'm doing the task that I enjoy. And these things will leave me at the end of the day fulfilled, to start over the next day. Or maybe it's something that carries over. But yeah, so I think sometimes what keeps us from the momentum is of moving forward is the motivation that we need to move forward. So whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish and what the end result is, it just got to keep moving forward, right? And you don't always have to be ready to start. You feel ready to start. You have to just kind of just jump into something and let the mistakes happen. Now, I'm not saying go haphazardly into things, but have some kind of idea of what you want to execute. Get, get insight from other people. But at the end of the day, you're not going to know what you know until you do it, and what you don't know. And through that experiment, you're going to figure out, okay, well, this didn't work out for me. I need to make adjustments here and there. So, well, no matter what it is, even if you're like, I don't have enough experience and never did it before. Look, before I never did a podcast before, and for me to do a podcast and talk to um, myself to the screen, and for whoever's watching to draw any value of what I'm saying, if you know, I don't know, I don't know, but I'm doing it, and that's all you can do. That's your expectation is no expectation, is to just be able to be comfortable in knowing that you can execute something, even if it works out or not. That's it. That's all that is. So, it's better to start messy than to never start at all. Right? And your brain catches up with you when you move. You start opening up to different things. You notice, like, you start getting into a groove. And once you find that, that lane, you found that lane, and you just take that highway and you just like punch it. You go right in. And it's the fact that just something clicks in your head. You're just like, I get it now. And that's that's when you find yourself in the zone. And now you really, really, really are producing something. You're creating something, right? Um, and so a question would be, has there ever been a time that I created something and I didn't want to? Was there ever a time that you created something and you didn't want to? Um, my That could go a couple of ways, right? That could either mean that you didn't want to create something, but they end up creating it because somebody told you to do it and asked you to do it, versus you just naturally just making something because you were inspired to do it. Um, I think I do that a lot. I think you you end up doing something that you're told to do, and sometimes you end up creating something because somebody told you to do it. You would not have made that, and you might come up with an iteration of something because of what they told you to do, but not necessarily. It wouldn't have ideated from you, if that makes sense. So, meaning, like, if you told me to draw a cat and then playing pool, then now I'm gonna create that visual of what I think that looks like. And maybe while I'm making it, I create some different variation of it, and or I start thinking about something else, and then maybe I'm not ready to fully dedicate myself into what I was told to make. I still come around back to it, but maybe this happens especially to illustrators and anybody who draws. We might start off with an idea, sure, but eventually what happens is you forget, and you're like, I don't know if it's our ADHD, or you check out of it, and then you start doing something else, and then you make some other piece of work that has nothing to do with the original one. It's kind of like you're fighting yourself from accomplishing the task that was the ask, right? And it's kind of like you're avoiding. It's like an avoidance of completing that task. And then you end up making other things instead of doing the original idea. Eventually, it comes back, and you're like, I think of it more of like an idea brain dump, because now that you've done this other thing, it's out of your head. It's on paper. You made it real. So now you can separate that, and you go back to the original idea and refine it and finish it up. So yeah, I think as artists, we tend to do that. We definitely create things without thinking of it, and we didn't want to, but we did, right? Um, in a project, okay. So another question would be: is there a project you almost didn't start because you overthought it? Yeah, there have been plenty of times, at least for me. And if you guys have something, feel free to to write it in the chat. But I think most of the time I overthink a lot because I'm trying to get like when you try to world build and you try to create a character um and execute an idea, sometimes I make it too big, and now I'm like it feels like it's a grand weight on my shoulders, and then I'm not having fun anymore, and then I drop it and I stop. I just put it to the side, or I just don't come back to it again, and it's like self-defeating. um that's why I try to work in stages, and now um outlining things helps. You know, back when I was in school, I didn't want to outline anything. I'm just gonna free do this off the top of my dome. And and as I gotten older, I don't do that anymore. I need some kind of structure. I need something to keep me on track. I need a roadmap, and I need to have tasks that I can do one at a time until I have everything done to completion. Right. Um, but yeah, so you know, definitely have overthought projects before, and that kept me from completing them or even executing them at all. Um, and the third thing is a track, script page, or video you made by just pushing it through. Have you ever created a track, script, page, or video by just pushing it through? Now, uh, I think a track, I definitely have done that. I've done that. Obviously, I do. So if you guys go to Spotify, you'll find Mindless Sketch there, and you'll see the first album that I did was Follow the Rainbow. Well, single. And my idea was for the season one of Mindless Sketch to have its own soundtrack, which is available now. It's called Follow the Rainbow, and it's about like I believe like 14 or 13 to 14 tracks and variation of music. But that um, I attacked it by doing one song at a time, just recently, just using AI tools like Suno um, and ChatGPT to help me kind of like structure a lot of the lyrics that I had already come up with and the concepts, and I kept tweaking, revising it until like finally got it to something that I would like to hear, and then I put it out into the world, and now it exists. So if you haven't heard "Follow the Rainbow," um, the single or the whole album, definitely check it out. It's on Spotify, Apple Music. It's on YouTube. It's YouTube Music. It's on any music streaming platform. You'll be able to find it. It's just Mindless Sketch, and yeah, check it out. Definitely give me your thoughts. A lot of my, you know, appreciation of dance and electronica, come out of the music that I make. I try to make some humorous ones in there as well. Yeah, so definitely check it out and let me know. But aside from that, script pages, yeah, that's always going to happen. I haven't released anything out into the world yet, but I am right now working on one, a script for a particular graphic novel. And as far as videos, here I am. And I've come to love to be able to introduce you to people that I know that can give you insight into either the creative business. Maybe they're visionaries and trying to be a philanthropist. And I want to get you guys familiar with that constant energy and that train that keeps moving us along. So wherever you are today and you're thinking to yourself, what can I do to stay motivated? Just remember all the things that I mentioned earlier today, which is keep yourself active. When you are bored and you don't have anything to do, it's really easy to slip into this mundane, zoned out type of attitude and never really want to, do anything. But once you get yourself active and keeping yourself moving and then going straight on to tackle things that you're afraid of, that is when you're going to find that motivation, because you got to give yourself those little victories that'll bring you the big victory, which is you just not being afraid to do anything, to go out there and make and create your vision and make it come to real, uh, to birth it into the real world. So exist. Yeah. So wherever you are right now, definitely check out the rest of the podcast. I'll try to do as many live morning conversations with you. And if you're watching this and it's Thanksgiving, I hope you take some time to spend with friends and family and go and do the important thing, which is and live life, love, um, and treat your family as well as you can, because I know they get on our nerves, but they're the only ones we have. And just be appreciative to what you have for Thanksgiving and for your family, your friends, that you're gainfully employed, and prayers to those like that are ones without. And I hope this finds you well. Until the next time, this is Mindless Sketch, and this is Morning Joe. And yeah, have a great one. Until next time. And now I'm going to do my walk over to turn off the live stream. Yes, I'm doing this by myself. So this is what I got to do.